Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic and music check. Fantastic. Thank you, Atlam. Started about a minute late today because when I went live, it crashed the software, so I had to restart it. How was y'all's weekend? Hey, Anani, welcome back. And it looks like we've got feed on Steam, on TikTok. We've got feed everywhere. Hey, DM Crusader, welcome back. How you doing? Let's hear about your weekend, everyone. What were you up to? I am good. Thank you so much for asking. I got a lot done this weekend. Around the house, little projects, stuff like that. Planning for a TPK. Well, now that's just evil. That's just... Visiting family, huh? What, do you have like a family event, a dinner, birthday? I don't know. Hey, what tell us about it. What happened? Went and saw Dad. Nice. I'm jealous. Have not seen my father in over a decade. It's hard to do so because he is buried. Anyway, sorry for my morbid sense of humor there. I just call that millennial humor. I blame it on our upbringing. Our parents left us alone at home watching shows like Neverending Story and stuff like that. Hey, Lord Mungo, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Damn Fam. How you doing today? Hey, John, welcome back. Oh, you visited your mom's gravesite? It's like we all, at this point in our lives, like especially, you know, millennials especially, it's getting to the point where you've lost, like, you know, your grandparents, probably an aunt and uncle, maybe a parent here and there. Starting to get up in those older ranks. Bums me out. My son never got to meet my dad. Hey, Sophie, how are you? Yeah, like my grandpa's in his 80s. Like, my grandparents are getting old. Sophie, weren't you doing like finals last we spoke or something? How did that go for you? Or you were doing a writing project or something? Something important. Thesis, I think? Is that what it was? A thesis? You're a grandfather yourself, too? Well, that makes sense, DM Crusader. We're all getting old, aren't we? Not bad. 4 minutes in, we're losing the will to continue. No, I am super hyped for the stream, actually. Very excited to hang out with everyone because we're going to be finalizing this map today and publishing it to the workshop. Spent some time typing out a like a description for this. I'm going to go over it a little bit here in a bit before we... I think it's because we were all talking about our deceased loved ones. It was like a grim start to the stream, right? Yeah, it's kind of a grim start to joining the stream. Normally, we're very happy here. Very happy. Congrats on your masters, Sophie. To be honest, I apologize for being so grim at the beginning of the conversation. The build will be finished today. So last Monday, I was not feeling well and had something come up that I needed a day to just kind of gather myself. I got some horrible news and not something I want to talk about. That's neither here nor there. So I had to, take a personal day last week. And so we didn't get to work on the Mapmaker Monday build. And today we should be finishing it up. So I'm going to be adding some finishing touches, primarily lighting, light sources, both abstract and, and regular. Can only go up from there. Hilarious. Thank you, Valence. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. How was everyone's weekend? Let's talk about it as we get started in the build today. For those that are new here, welcome to the stream. My name is Mac. It is Mapmaker Monday, which every Monday we build a map live for our community to watch and learn. I have over 4,000 hours of map making in Dungeon Alchemist, so I have a lot of experience and can answer your questions in real time and kind of guide you through your own maps or teach you concepts, while you're watching me build a map. Keep in mind, these streams are AMA format, which means ask me anything. So if you have any questions related to Dungeon Alchemist during the stream, feel free to let me know in chat, and I will do my best to provide you with real-time support. Remember, this is the official Dungeon Alchemist channel. Again, my name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. So throughout the stream, we'll be showcasing what Dungeon Alchemist can do and providing real-time, support and guidance to anyone in any chat. We're currently live on 5 different platforms: Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Steam. Stream runs for about 2.5 hours. And hopefully we'll be finishing this build, getting it uploaded to the Steam Workshop so anyone in our community can download a copy of it and use it for their own campaigns. In addition to that, we'll likely be picking a new theme and starting a new map. Unfortunately, AMA is Dungeon Alchemist related only. Mungo, I've learned in the past not to just say AMA related to anything. So let's see here. We've got our wagon space. This is kind of the entry area to the valley. Well, either side is an entry. And then we've got the campground, the watering hole with a little crane set up there. We can, gather some water and a little dock to go out and take a look. So for those that have been tuning in, I'm sure some of you have seen us build this over the last couple months. But for those that haven't, this particular area, this watering hole, is the only water source for hundreds of miles in any direction in this vast desert. That is kind of the only way to traverse between two very, massive, prosperous kingdoms on either side of this kind of desolate desert. Either that or you could go around, which takes much longer, so people tend to go through. if they're in a hurry. But in the middle is this watering hole, the only water source for, like I said, hundreds of miles. A very crafty kobold noticed this opportunity and decided to set up shop here. Often when people would camp here, they would stop, camp, refill their water, and abandon extra weight. You know, any detritus and trash would just get dumped to the side. Wagon wheels, barrels, crates, and broken wagons, things that just were extra weight and were causing a burden and, you know, requiring extra resources would be dumped. So he noticed there was a lot of supplies here already, even goods that people had just abandoned. So he decided to set up shop. He built a small shack, started trading goods out of it, and then started expanding that upon that. So what was a small shack expanded into stables and a general store and a souvenir shop, a tavern, inn, bathhouse, and his personal residence. There's a campsite, there's a place to store wagons, and this place gets a couple deliveries a year. So let's say two deliveries a year is kind of my headcanon. So a lot of what happens here is done with trade, bartering. The watering hole used to be, you know, anyone could use it, swim in it, whatever, but realizing it was a precious resource, he fenced it off and set it up so people could use like a crane to get water. So you could this literally is just for angling the crane, and you could lower the buckets down to here. You don't need to walk down with a full bucket. Here, there's also another bucket system for the bathhouse. There's a lot of cranes because the kobold that runs it isn't necessarily a big person, so he has to use his brain a little bit. But we have the bathhouse here, and if they need water up here for any other reason, he can use the bucket. But a lot of things that kobolds do don't necessarily make sense, you know? That said, he has turned this into quite an enterprise in just a few years. So you have the tavern here. And the inn is attached. You have a master suite, a kind of communal room with like hammocks, and then a bunk bedroom. Of course, we have a privy there. Here's a bathhouse. There's a deck on the outside so people can kind of sit and enjoy the view. I would assume he's more resourceful. I would say the engineering and design of this place is questionable. You know, it probably creaks and sways a little bit. Valence, this map will be available on the Steam Workshop later today after it's gone through Steam mod approval. So as long as you own a copy of Dungeon Alchemist, you should be able to download it and use it for your campaigns later today, as soon as later today. Every time I build a map on the stream like this, I share it with the community so anyone could take advantage of it. I love to put a lot of detail in my maps. Often, DMs don't necessarily have the time to put as much time and effort and detail into their maps like these ones might get. So I'm very, excited and love to share. So yeah, I went through and added all this pathing by hand in Ani. It's like a half wall. Freestand. Oh, it's a roof border for cabins, but it looks really good. Just like just like a pole hit into the ground and then bound together with a cross post. I also did this because I like the idea of him trying to keep the area pristine, and this prevents people from like going off path and harvesting materials or camping somewhere he doesn't get paid or doesn't want them to be. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though it's not necessarily a large fence, it will keep people kind of confined to areas. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do today, we'll go through and do a quick tour of the building, and then we're going to start finalizing all the lighting. Yeah, there's a little campground over here where people can, park their wagons, pitch a tent, whatever, camp for the night. And then over here is a place to park wagons. And then the very bottom floor is actually stables. So, you know, maybe if someone wants to keep their animals out of the sun and the harsh heat, get them some food and lodging for the night themselves. So Lord Mungo, Dungeon Alchemist doesn't really, okay. So it doesn't technically have mods per se, but Dungeon Alchemist does have Steam Workshop integration for two things: sharing maps and sharing 3D models. So we do have a huge built-in repository of stock assets. It's like about 8,000 assets, primarily set in like a fantasy aesthetic, some leading into like, you know, like steampunk or Western, even like Victorian, stuff like that. We have an asset importer built right into Dungeon Alchemist, where if you know, have access to 3D models, or you can make them yourself, sculpt them, design them, whatever, excuse me, you can then import them to Dungeon Alchemist. And in their strictest sense, assets imported to Dungeon Alchemist are essentially mods. They're not a stock asset, they're a third-party asset, so each one of them is kind of a mod to Dungeon Alchemist. And the quality and size and art style vary drastically from asset to asset compared to our stock ones. But the benefit of being able to import assets and browse the shared assets on the workshop is it expands your, you know, library of, you know, 8,000 assets to beyond, you know, 20 and above, because there's almost 15,500 assets on the Steam Workshop. Now, keep in mind, like I said, quality may vary. Some assets are very small, lightweight, and good quality, while others are huge in size. So most of these are only about 1 to 7 megabytes that we've seen so far, but I've seen assets that are hundreds of megabytes. And all of these things, they do weigh down your computer's processing power, your RAM, etc., and can bog down load times. So if you have, you know, when you get it into the workshop, just be wary if you download assets. I usually only download assets as I need them, or I unsubscribe from them once a week, because you can go into Steam and unsub from all in like 3 clicks. So essentially, the more you add, it's like adding tons of mods to a game, it will decrease performance. In fact, I'll walk everyone through that right now. So what you do is you go to Steam, right? Find Dungeon Alchemist, right? Make sure it's selected. Click Workshop. Now you'll have, you know, Dungeon Alchemist pulled up on this side here, right? You click Workshop. From here, it'll show your Steam icon, and it says your workshop files. If you click your files and go to subscribed items, then it'll show you all the assets you're subscribed to. You can sort by map only or asset only, right? Or you can look at all. And then if you hit subscribe or unsubscribe from all, it'll unsub from every asset that you are currently subscribed to. What's really nice about the integration, though, is if you download a map from the workshop and it requires third-party assets, it'll prompt you to download them. You can choose not to, or you can pick and choose from the list the ones you want and don't want. Keep in mind, if you refuse to download them, the app may look, or the map may look more empty, or may be lacking entire details entirely, because, you know, they put those assets in there. Like this panda, this horse, these are not stock assets. This bone horse, definitely not a stock asset. But like these wagons, these are stock assets. Anyway, I hope that answers your questions. Oh, there, Mungo. Hey, Pokey Tavern, welcome to the stream. I'll address your question momentarily. I just want to make sure this question was addressed, the one that we were talking about just prior to you coming in, before we move on to another one. Another asset, this is custom here, Mungo. These shirts, I downloaded the shirt from the workshop, and then this graphic I imported to Dungeon Alchemist through a tool we called Abstract Assets. So these green, they're customizable objects. You can import graphics as skins. So I just use this plain flat plane, or this one here, and I'd put it on top of the shirt and twist it to get it just right, and insert an image into it, because you can take like a PNG or any old image and insert it into this. Here, let me show you. Repository, Mapmaker Monday, last forge, or the last drop. Oh, I was clicking this one, but as you can see here, I basically had Mrs. Mac build these graphics for me, and they're designed to be like I could place them on, postcards, shirts, etc., because he wants to sell merch. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure Mungo's question was addressed. I don't know if he's still here or not, or they're still here or not. While I'm waiting to hear back from Mungo, let's see here. Pokey Tavern, yes, you can export your maps as animated. I'm not sure what you meant by Beamer, but you can export maps as MP4 or WebM, and they are usually like a 30-second loop. And then you could put them on your digital surfaces, like a TV tabletop or a projector tabletop, or use them in like Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, etc. There's several services that support animated maps. And I mean, even if you're just playing at home on a TV tabletop with just like a video player, you could set it to a loop. Fantastic, Mungo. I'm glad I addressed your concerns there. If you have any other questions, please let me know. And Pokey Tavern, so really just depending on how you want to export is up to you. So if you're exporting for, say, a projector, right, you could export just a video. And depending on the size of map, MP4 isn't always viable because it has resolution limits, whereas WebM does not. So you could do like a low quality WebM or whatever, just a standard quality. Video exports do take a while because it exports 30 frames per second for a 30-second, video that is of a real-time 3D rendered environment in a top-down, depending on your perspective. So just keep in mind, I usually will render like looped videos for my campaigns when I have nothing else going on. Like I'm not going to be doing it while I'm gaming, or if I have other tasks running on my computer, I'll usually set it up at night and make sure nothing while sometimes depending on the size of the map. Like one time I did 100 by 100 map and it took like 2 hours to export, because it's like it's hard to explain. It's Dungeon Alchemist renders the entire environment in real time, right? It's not a pre-rendered environment like a video game would be. It's more like designing in a 3D, sculpting app. And then when you render the object, usually you can get more quality if you render it for more cycles. So people will spend days rendering an object to get more quality on it, and like lighting and that kind of stuff. So in the case of Dungeon Alchemist, think of it as this environment. Things change when it's animated. You obviously have, movements of lighting and trees swaying and any objects that are moving that might be animated. And each of those changes the environment every single time it moves. And so we have to capture the environment multiple times in order to render it correctly. Hey, Chim, welcome back. So video exports are ideal for like digital surfaces, projector tabletops, TV tabletops. That said, if you use like a virtual tabletop software in tandem with your projector, like Foundry or Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds, probably better to use their export particularly, because you could do them in a video loop, and it also includes like data files for all the windows, walls, doors, etc. Yeah, exactly, Jack. It's not just one map, it's 900 because it's 30 frames of 30 seconds. 30 frames per second. So ends up being a lot. Anyway, let's get started on today's work of the map, because I definitely want to finish today and pick a new theme before we move on to next week. Pokey Tavern, did I answer your question there? Hopefully we addressed it to your satisfaction. If you have any other questions or concerns, let me know. This weekend I did a lot of work in the yard. So I invested last month in like a pole chainsaw. Mrs. Mac got me like a bunch of power tools for like Christmas. It was like a pack of tools from like Lowe's. It comes in a bag and came with like a drill, an impact drill, and some saws and some other stuff. Okay. Been great. It's been nice. I've never really been into battery powered tools. I've always been like corded tools. I prefer that. Or pneumatic, right? Air tools. And she just saw me struggling all the time with cords, getting tangled up in them. I was having to find a place to plug in, or running a battery bank or generator or whatever with certain projects. So she got me these power tools. And they have like a whole bunch of tools in their ecosystem, and I have batteries already. So I'm like, okay, I'll invest in another tool. They got me. So I got this chainsaw that's like on a long pole. It can go like 16 feet. And I used it to trim the tree in my front yard and the hedge between mine and my neighbor's backyard. The hedge had gotten so insanely tall that I had to climb up a ladder to get high enough to reach it. And that's even with the extended reach of this pole saw. And the hedge is so thick that the branches, like the center of each like hedge was like 2 inches diameter. So I basically was, it was dangerous and scary to be up on a ladder, really tall up on this ladder, holding a really long chainsaw and just kind of teetering like a trapeze would on a wire, it felt like. It was an interesting day. That said, got it all done. I'm very happy about it. Oh, I already did abstracts on this level. Look at me. Okay, I was like, where is all this light coming from? It's an abstract. I want to add torches, or not torches, but like lamps, like on the walls, lanterns, stuff like that, just hanging out. These look nice. Thinking is we need one out here, kind of right by this entry point. That is cobalt height, but we're going to raise it up a little bit. No worries, Pokey Tavern. Oh, perfect. Yeah, by the way, these streams run for about 2.5 hours twice a week. We do them every Monday and every Saturday. We also offer support off stream on our wiki, which is like a 24-hour resource. And we have our Discord, where we have, a support and a questions channel. And that's pretty much a 24-hour resource between myself and the art team, the dev team, and our mod team, and our just really supportive community. There's so many people willing to offer, guidance and support. Honestly, I was terrified of falling while I was holding the saw and balanced on the, the thing, but it worked out. It wasn't too bad. I was pretty safe and got it all done. Trying to think of, and we have a mulcher that I invested in. because usually we can't do the whole yard like in a day like this because there's just too much green. So in Vegas, where I live, you have a separate trash for yard waste, like leaves and, you know, tree branches, things you trim, weeds, stuff like that. So it fills up pretty quick with branches. But I got a mulcher, and we just shove the branches in there. It comes out as like just tiny little wood pellets on the other, like wood strips on the other side, you know? So we were able to mulch pretty much all of that. And oh my goodness, it definitely made the process, like, it added more work, but now it's like way nice. The pole saw is electric, and I do have to oil it. It uses a battery. I honestly, part of the reason I've never bought a chainsaw is I don't know what it is. I like chainsaws sound cool, but they're also just so loud. Like, you have to wear ear protection and like all these different things just to use them, right? Because it's like one of the loudest tools you can own. And I'm not chopping down, you know, huge trees or anything like that. It's just like branches off of a tree or a shrub. So, and I thought, well, regular chainsaw would be cool, but the pole saw, I can reach everything really high, often without a ladder. And yeah, it's electric. I could have gone, you know, gas, but A, it's less of a nuisance to my neighbors, and B, it works with the tool system I already have. So I have 3 batteries for the tool set that I have and several tools now. So I'm a collecting them, I guess. And as many of you know, I've been like organizing my garage, and like I built some tool benches. I actually added like a pegboard to the wall of my garage recently. I've been organizing that. It looks really nice. Oh no, not at all. The mulcher could barely even fit like a 2-inch diameter log. It's like a very simple mulcher. I'm not dextering at all. I really am just kind of trying to clean up my yard and stuff. Okay, so we added lighting at the bottom, but what we need to do is embolden the abstract lighting. Abstract lightings, for those that aren't aware, these globes, they're invisible lights. So they'll add light to the scene, but they're invisible upon export. So you really only can see them when you're adding them to the scene, if that makes sense. So what I like to do is just kind of, if there's a light here and here, I like to put an abstract kind of between them, just adding light into these areas. And the cool thing about abstract lights, you can turn them down. So if it feels too bright, you can adjust it, and you can even adjust their color. Honestly, though, Pokey Tavern, I get it. Chainsaws are scary. They're a tool that you do not want to mess with. Saws in general. I have a like a radial like arm saw, right? Like a miter saw or whatever. And then I have a jigsaw, and I have, hey, Cube Virus, how you doing? I have several saws, and every one of them, I always wear eye protection, I always wear gloves, and I'm always super careful. Several circular saws. Gotta be careful. Oh, hey, Caillou. Did you change your name or just on a different account today? So now it's nice and well lit down here. I think what I'll do is, because we got a lantern here and one here, but I'm going to put one in this room. This is like the farrier room. Oh, I have sworn by eye protection. I grew up in a cabinet shop, right? My dad was a carpenter, finished carpenter. He built cabinets, did a lot of finished carpentry and in homes and stuff. But he swore by safety because all of his friends in the cabinet industry were like missing fingers or like, you know, had hurt their eye at some point or yeah. You gotta be careful. I love woodworking, but not so much that I want to lose a digit, you know? So I kind of want to add lighting to attract to the shop and the different areas, right? So I'm thinking like a lamp on the post here, or maybe a lamp post next to it. So the ambient lighting acts kind of like a circular light, so I'll try and put it in between areas, but I don't always try to make sense of it. It's more or less just to make sure the lighting in the area feels balanced. Because it's not like light sources in the real world will taper off just like a light source in like D&D, right? Where it's like, oh, this has 30 feet of light. That's it. You can't see beyond. Like, I mean, yeah, they do taper off to a degree, but not the same, right? And I also want the place to look good on export. So what these lighting sources, by the way, they will be invisible. Now I'm looking at it. It looks kind of bright, right? This looks washed out. So I might go in and just adjust a few of them. And the cool thing is I can adjust like one of them and go, yeah, I want this one turned down. And I can copy that and then paste it, drag it across the whole room and tone down all of them simultaneously. So essentially I pasted the property of that one light to every light in this vicinity, and it saved me a ton of time. And now it looks like there's light in here, but it's not so bright that it washes out. In the center though, where these other ones are, in the center of a bunch of lanterns, I might just brighten these up ever so slightly. Let's see here. Let's go back into lighting, and we got lamp posts. Let's find... trying to find the one that looks the most. That's it. Oh. Is there not one with that same lamp on it? I'll just use that one. Looks okay. But we could use something like this, right? Put it on the corner of this. If collisions are off, it acts just kind of like a corner post. We could sink it into the ground there. Take another one, put it on the other side. We could even put something across the top, like a plank. Or if there's one that's long enough. That one could work. Is there one in between those? I need y'all to know I'm printing something super important on the printer today. It's absolutely crucial. My 3D printer is actively printing a Cubone mask for my dog. No. Hendrik, I'm experimenting with multicolor like designs for in the slicer for the printer. So there's a piece of software paired with the printer called a slicer. And it essentially is a piece of software that allows you to tell the printer how to print, you know, like the quality of the print, like the layer lines, the infill is like the density of the object, how many walls it has, colors at different locations, and I'm learning how to use that still. So once I figure that out, I'll be printing a Hendrik. Cube Virus, you might want to go unsubscribe from all the assets on the workshop before you go open that map. Also, don't just load directly into that map. You may want to try loading like a 1x1 dark parchment map and then load into that map. But keep in mind, the more assets you subscribe to, the slower your load times will be. So if you've been opening a lot of maps or subscribing to a lot of assets, it'll decrease your load times for DA, or not decrease, increase them, and decrease your performance. Because assets on the workshop vary in quality and size drastically from asset to asset. I've seen assets that are hundreds of megabytes where the average Dungeon Alchemist map is only like, 5-10 megabytes. So you just got to be careful. And all of those assets, when you have them in Dungeon Alchemist, like when you have them subscribed on the workshop, every time you load Dungeon Alchemist or load a map, all Steam Workshop assets preload into your RAM before DA loads. And we've tried to optimize the heck out of that multiple times, but we cannot stop people from continuing to subscribe to assets. You know what I mean? It affects loading of maps and it affects loading of DA. And so once it's loaded, performance overall, can take a huge dive. And map size, the amount of effects on it, the amount of assets on it, a lot of things can affect performance for sure. But we haven't changed anything recently in updates or anything that would have adjusted performance at all. So if the performance is changing on your end, it's likely due to the amount of assets you have or what you might be doing in the background while you're running Dungeon Alchemist. So, Atlam, are you familiar with Pokemon at all? So there's a Pokemon named Cubone who is essentially, he's a kind of a quirky Pokemon because he wears like a skull as a mask and like a helmet. And he uses a bone as a weapon. He uses tools. Cube Virus, the thing is anytime you load up the map, it'll prompt you to download any workshop assets you need. Okay? So don't be afraid to unsubscribe from all. The thing is like if you're subscribed to hundreds of thousands of assets, Dungeon Alchemist is going to struggle as a result of it. But anyway, inside of Steam, you can go to your library, select Dungeon Alchemist, go to Workshop, and then select your files, go to subscribed items, and then just hit unsubscribe from all. That'll unsubscribe from every map, unsubscribe from every asset. Doing this is a clean wipe. Doing it one at a time, you can click on these one at a time and do it, but it'll take a while. Let's say you're subscribed to several hundred assets or, 18 plus pages. It adds up pretty quick. It's his mother's skull? I didn't know that, Pokey Tavern. I was in the age group where I was just a little too old when Pokemon first came out. It was like my younger brothers and sisters were into it. And then like I got the hype, I understand it. And over the years I've played the games and watched the shows a little bit. My son got way into it when he was younger. But like when it first came out and was like a big trend, I was just a bit older than most of the younger kids playing it, so I just didn't grasp it. Like my Game Boy games were like Link's Awakening, or no, was it Link to the Past? No, it was Link's Awakening. Yeah, 750 assets is a lot, Cube Virus, especially because there could be some in there that are just absolutely poorly optimized. With that many, you're guaranteed to have a few that are putting a big weight on your RAM. How much RAM do you have in your computer, Caillou? 32. Now imagine if, say, because of assets, over half of your RAM is being occupied just to load the assets for Dungeon Alchemist. It could definitely decrease your performance. I guarantee you, if you unsubscribe from all and try to open the map again, and then just sub to the ones needed for the map, you'll notice a huge performance increase. I have a first gen Pokemon Red around here somewhere. Someone borrowed it. I don't know. Well, I used to have a Game Boy in here. Packed away. My kid, my wife, I don't know. But my original Game Boy from when I was like oh, there it is. I found it. When I was a kid. Like at some point, I picked up Pokemon Red because I was like, I want to see what the hype is about. So I definitely have it. Right? I also have some other Game Boy games. This is the one I originally came with my Game Boy. My mom was like, hey, it comes with 2 games, so you won't need games ever. It was like a combo centipede millipede game. Whoa, that green is getting canceled out. And then I got a copy of We're Back. I used to have a copy of NBA Jam, but I loaned it to a friend, and then he moved like a week later. I got Kirby's Dream Land. Super Mario 2, 6 golden coins. This game, dope. Yeah, We're Back, the dinosaur story, a dinosaur story. And then I also have, the Zelda, I think it's Link's Awakening, I believe it is. I have both the SNES Link to the Past and then like the Game Boy Link's Awakening, but I have a Super Game Boy because yet again, my mom, trying to be kind of crafty and cheap, she gave me a gift of a Super Nintendo years later, and she's like, instead of buying me any games for the Super Nintendo, she got me one without any games bundled with it, and then bought a Super Game Boy. And the Super Game Boy was a cartridge adapter that went into the Super Nintendo, and you could fit a Game Boy game in it. And honestly, at the time, I was so tilted over it because I didn't get any new games. I just had all the same games. It's thrifty. And I was able to play them on the TV, right? So it would essentially scale them up and add color, and you could play them on TV. It was pretty cool, actually. And nowadays, looking back on it, I love that item, and it's kind of a rare collector's item. They're not as common as you'd imagine. I still have the manual for it, and like I play games on it all the time on my TV downstairs because it's a great way to essentially emulate Game Boy games on your TV, and then you could even capture them through like a capture source. So because of that, I could technically stream Game Boy games from like yesteryear. I don't know why we're talking about this now. Oh, we were talking about Pokemon. Anyway, love my Game Boy games. Love my Game Boy. Even if it's just like old tech and black and white, I swear by it. Swear by it. The only downside was it ate up batteries like a madman. Like it would just, yeah. I swear I spent more money on batteries as a kid than anything else. But here's my little case for it, the game bag. Anyway, I still have my SNES and I still have my Game Boy. I don't have much from my childhood, but that's one of a couple of the things that I was able to keep a hold of. Okay, before we move up to the shop and other levels of this place, I need to add lighting to all the exterior. So I feel like the lighting here is okay. They don't need too much in this area. There's one out in the latrine. We could maybe put a latrine in there, right? Excuse me. And then we need a lamp in here. I'm gonna use this one again. Figure out where I should hang it. Probably there. Looks good. I have a Walkman too, and a Discman. I still have them somewhere, or I had a Discman. Man, Discmans. I have a huge CD collection and a record collection and a tape collection, actually, a cassette tape collection. Because I like inherited all my dad's tapes and records, and my mom gave me all her records, and then like her friends were like, "Oh, you're collecting records? Here, have mine. I don't need them anymore. They've been collecting dust in my garage and shed." And then I'd go to like thrift stores and Goodwill and buy records. Back then they were like 25 cents, 10 cents. I remember buying a copy of Styx Grand Illusion, still sealed, for 25 cents. I broke the seal as a dumb teenager. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Hey, Cube, are you on Win 11 or are you on Win 10? I was just gauging what your RAM usage might be by default, because Win 10 definitely uses a lot less. Nice, Moose. I grew up in arcades too. I mean, because consoles were just barely a thing, right? Like when I was growing up, there was like Atari transit and like Intellivision transitioning just into Nintendo was just barely happening, right? Things like the Game Boy and Nintendo, NES, Super NES, those things were just brand new technology when I was growing up, as a kid. I'm like a bridged gap millennial, because I grew up in an analog world and then like learned a bunch of digital stuff, and so like I'm kind of between two worlds, I feel like sometimes. Because it's like I yesterday we were watching a show, my wife and I was like, "Oh, have you?" And there was a washing machine, and it was like an old school washing machine that had like a ringer on the top. And I was like, "Oh, did you see that washing machine?" My wife's like, "That's a washing machine?" I was like, "Yeah, that's a washing machine. It's my grandma had one like that. It was like a huge washing tumbler, and then she'd pull the laundry out and run it through the ringer, and the water would go back down into the tub." Sega, hey, don't trigger me with stims like that. Whether it's in the map or not, it's in your asset collection. So the impact is always there because it's in your asset collection if you have it downloaded. So regardless of whether or not it's used in the map, it still affects performance. I do have a couple 72 RPM records. Only two, though. I have probably close to 145s, and then I think I have a 16 as well. It's like a classical record. Yeah, if you unsubscribe from all assets, when you open the map, it'll prompt you to download the assets again, and you could choose not to. But if you need those assets for your build, at least just for that one map, you can always just download it for that one map, because those won't affect it as much as the whole collection you have it downloaded. But trust me when I say that that is definitely what is likely affecting your performance. You should definitely unsubscribe. If you just do unsubscribe from all, anytime you open a map that you need to use again, it will prompt you to download any assets you need. So you won't be unable to retrieve them again if that's what you're worried about. I know a lot of people get attached to the assets on the workshop, but remember, they're free. Yeah, that's another thing you could do if you're worried about retrieving your assets again. Steam allows you to create collections of any assets on the workshop, right? So, hey, look at that. Look at that handsome fellow. I'm gonna just hide the stream. Oops, did I open the wrong portion? So if you're looking at assets, right, or maps, you can click this browse tab and it says browse collections. Collections are essentially groups of assets or maps or both that, you know, might be a time saver to download. Often people will create collections of assets that they want to download again later. And from here, you can click create collection, give it a name. You could just say Caillou's asset pack, you know, and quickly put an image on it, quick description, and then just make it every asset you have currently. Save that asset collection. Then later on, if you want to get every single asset, you can. But I almost can guarantee you likely have a lot of assets that, you know, you downloaded because you opened a third-party map, somebody else's map, and it prompted you to download those. Because every time you open a map from the workshop, it'll say, hey, do you want to download the assets for this map, right? Anyway. Dyson, that happened to you recently? I was under the impression we had fixed this that bug. Can you answer one question for me real quick? Are the assets in your map? Is Steam, first off, is it installed? Oh, those prefab buildings, I think, got removed from the workshop. That might be the case. That might be the case. That said, if you're having an issue locally with assets disappearing that you know are on your computer or you have downloaded, it is often the case that if you have Steam or DA on a separate drive from your OS, that might cause the problem. Because Dungeon Alchemist essentially operates differently than a game, all that data needs to be easily accessible. When it's on a secondary drive, you know, like a USB-based drive or a non-OS drive, it tends to, on occasion, the assets will become corrupt or not load correctly. Let's see what this looks like really quick. Looks well lit. Inviting. Well, stuff like that is stored locally. It's not labeled with its name. Cube, can I ask why you are so worried about losing these things that you can really easily download again, like in a few clicks? Because if your maps that they're already tied to will instantly prompt you to download them again, so you're not going to lose them there. And any other maps that you download or have subscribed to will prompt them to download again too. So I can understand if you're worried about losing them, but you're not really losing them. You're more or less just temporarily unsubscribing them. The thing is if you don't connect to the internet, things like the workshop, you can't access them. And the assets will actually, I think the Steam and also Dungeon Alchemist, if it loads when there's no internet connection, it can't connect to the workshop. So browsing assets in your own collection, you can't even do that. I don't think it would allow you to. I don't know. That said, this part, it might still have them, but I don't know. Very good question, though, overall. Let's see here. Okay, we've got lighting pretty much all set to this point. I don't think I needed more beyond here. So let's go inside and focus on the second floor. So we'll do this patio first, which I think I want to do one of these bad boys up here on this pole. And then we'll do one of these right at the entry of the door. Oops. I mean, an exported map won't have that problem. If you're running your games directly in Dungeon Alchemist, you may run into issues like that because you're using it as a way that's not really intended. That said, if you load Dungeon Alchemist while connected to the internet, I don't think you'll run into this issue, like mid-game. But if you try to connect without an internet connection, it definitely would likely sever your connection to the assets. Because it has to read like whether you're subscribed to them or not to like detect them, if I'm not mistaken. Atlam, I've been meaning to ask you if you noticed your name backwards is Malta. Can we get a full view of what? So I want to do like a couple's costume, and I'll dress up as Denethor, Steward of Gondor, and my wife can dress up like a cherry tomato. You know, Pokey Tavern, that's a good question. You know, our chats across all of our feeds are pretty much all dungeon masters, so you're asking in a good place. But yeah, watching and learning how to make maps and, you know, participating in the conversation on our streams, you can learn quite a bit as a fledgling DM. We often talk about encounters, homebrew, you know, our own sessions and things that have happened in them. Map making, and, you know, Dungeon Alchemist as a tool. I like to think of it as one tool in your tool belt for being a dungeon master, right? A carpenter, you know, they can't necessarily build cabinets with just a hammer, right? They need a saw, they need, you know, they need nails, they need a hammer, they need sanding material, you know, equipment. They need different tools to get the job done, right? Effectively. So a dungeon master, you know, depending on the dungeon master, they all use different tools and have different styles of storytelling and gameplay. A map making tool is just one tool in the tool belt, right? And learning how to build maps and how to source maps and use them effectively in your storytelling is just kind of one pillar in your gameplay. Overall, though, you know, one thing I can tell you as someone who spent some time as a DM, it's always wise to remember that, you know, you can have a whole story in mind, crafted, ready to go, but your players often will guide the story completely differently than you anticipate. And it's always wise to follow that instead of trying to, you know, railroad it into something else. Often you will find that you have, you know, stumbled onto a completely new and exciting story that you weren't anticipating. Now, practice some more. When it comes to, you know, storytelling and GMing, make sure you're reading the books for whatever, you know, system you're running. Make sure you have them on hand so you can reference them for your players. And don't assume you know something right away. If you don't know, don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't know, let me look it up. Like, it's always a good idea to just make sure you understand something before you convey your answer. What level are you going to start your players at? That can make a lot of impact on how you design your story. Level 1, nice. That's probably a good place to start as a fledgling DM. One bit of advice I can give you. All right, have you heard of a session 0? Alrighty. I feel like all the abstract lighting has been squared away. Let me turn this off here, and then we'll just take a look at the map in a kind of top down. Let's make it Noit. Campground looks well lit. The path in various areas. Obviously, a lot of light drawing attention to the front of this place. I want to add a couple more abstracts on these different patios. And then the watering hole has some light. I like it. I like it. I think it looks good. I like it. Cool. So session 0 is an amazing tool for new DMs, like honestly, long time and new DMs. It's very, very important to run a session 0, in my opinion, because it makes sure all of your players are in the right campaign for each other, and you're running the right campaign for them. You can find out, if anybody has anything that triggers them. So if they might be afraid of spiders, you may want to not run spider-based enemies. If depending on the group setting and how you're playing, some people may not enjoy a murder hobo campaign where other groups will love it. So a session 0 with like a basic questionnaire, getting to know your players, what their interests are, what their no-nos are, and like no-goes, essentially, like, hey, I'm not cool with these types of scenes and these types of interactions and these types of, monsters. That way you can make sure the campaign's well designed around everyone, or if you need to make adjustments, you know where you need to. Kind of want to like hang a lamp on these ropes. Or even just something sitting on it. I like it. Where is that lamp? Hey, Eric, hope you're well. Appreciate you dropping in. One other thing, too, I can tell you right now, Tavern, is definitely don't like compare your group or your skills as a DM to, say, very like public, professional, and like popular groups. You know, we're not all gonna be, you know, Matt Mercers or you know, you get what I'm saying, right? Like, we can't all be like, yeah, it's not our full-time jobs, nor do we have years of experiences like actors, actresses, etc., storytellers. Not everyone does this all the time, right? So as my full-time DM has said, that there's only like a fractional amount of people in the US that get paid to DM full-time, you know, that are considered professional DMs. Yeah, we can't all be Brennan Lee Mulligans. We can't, you know what I mean? We can't be all be Matt Mercers, and we can't expect our groups to be super into RP or, you know, follow the storyline hooks that you have set up perfectly. It's just expecting that kind of group dynamic or experience probably isn't going to happen, you know? I feel like a group will find their own groove, especially if there's a chemistry between the group over time, and they'll, you know, get into their RP if they find that fun or whatever. Like my group, we don't RP that much, but we are fluid when it comes to combat, and we also are really good at keeping each other alive and like solving problems together, right? So every group is like a little bit different. We're like a really cautious group that doesn't like to, you know, like we like to get through things without wasting a ton of resources and life. That said, we do have a person in our group who is very haphazard and often is the person being downed. We let them play the way they want to play. For now. Oh my gosh, this guy. So one of our players, he like ran into a fight like Leroy Jenkins, and he was 1v1ing a dream holder, and the dream holder shot him through a wall, like phased him through a wall, and he landed in a huge pile of like lava and a lava tube on the other side. And I just happened to be like within earshot of him when it happened, because I was way behind the group because I'm a halfling, much slower, always falling behind. And I see him in the lava, and he's just thumbs upping me like Terminator. And I vortex warp him out of the lava and save his life. Like, he's almost died so many times. It's insane. I occasionally will do a voice with my character, and I've tried to get the group to do voices in RP, but it's just not in their nature. So if I'm the only one doing it, it feels awkward. You know, it feels like I'm just seeking attention. So I don't do it. Like, those groups are a great example. They're fun, and it's a great way to introduce people to D&D. Shows like, you know, Mighty Nine and Vox Machina, and, you know, the streams of these things, and, you know, now movies and games like Baldur's Gate and the Dungeons and Dragons movie. There's a lot of media to introduce people to this game, right, or to tabletop gaming. But you always need to, you know, reassure them that it's not quite the same. These are media representations that are often different than what happens at the table. Eric, you know, I know you're lurking, but you are a professional DM. You're one of the only professional DMs I know. Full-time DM. You know, we've got a new DM on our chat over on YouTube asking for advice. Do you have any advice for a new DM, for a fledgling DM just getting their feet wet? They just got Dungeon Alchemist today, just to show you how new they are to this. Especially when you're just getting started, right, Night Demon, that's really only doing yourself no favors whatsoever. Like, if you are comparing yourself to people who've been doing this as a career for years, it's going to only lead to, like, imposter syndrome and, like, issues, and you're going to want your game to run at a different flow, and it will never be the way you expect it to be. And true, Chim, I honestly save a lot of my entertainment energy for the streams. Okay, so Game Master Eric says, #1 piece of advice, let the players cook. If they're excited and talking, shut up and let them talk. Rushing the players just makes them consume your content even faster. Let it be slow. I see how you make those sessions run 4 hours. Often I'm overcautious and waste tons of time trying to disarm traps. Okay, so I'm doing a last check. Yeah, we do often get about 4 hours, which is, I feel, the Goldilocks zone for a game. If a game goes into 8 hours, players, you need breaks to eat, several breaks for bathrooms. 8 hours is like a shift of a job, that's a long chunk of your day. And as an adult, it's hard to commit that much time nowadays for a D&D session. I think 4 hours is right in the pocket. Oh, DM Crusader's right. Advice, be ready for your players to do stuff that you didn't plan on. Always be ready for that. And that's like the motto of the Dungeon Alchemist community, is because you can adapt around. Like we have a commercial that it basically shows how players you can have a whole session planned out and they're going to go somewhere you didn't anticipate. They're going to want to go talk to Woblin the Goblin that they met 15 sessions ago that the one diligent note taker remembered. Honestly, Pokey Tavern, definitely these streams are a great place to ask questions related to gameplay, but also map making, of course, because that's what we focus on here. Immersion primarily, but if you have questions related to DMing, gameplay, whatever, please feel free to ask. I mean, in just our streams, we have like hundreds of years, centuries of experience of DMing. And then in our Discord, holy cow, don't even get me started. There's like millennia of experience of DMing there. My DM is a heightist. Any chance he gets, he likes to point out how short my character is. And narratively, any chance he can, he'll be like, oh, the giant didn't see you at his feet. Always pointing out my height. One of these days, Eric. One of these days. All right, so I'm going to do a quick last-minute check of this map, and then we're going to upload it to the workshop for everyone, because I think it's done. I'm feeling pretty good. I could add some lights to the path, but it's like, it's a path. If you can't see it, come on, man. Maybe just at the entry areas, like some of these pole lamps, as you get into the property. Something like this. Or should I add light to these like every, 20 or 30 feet? Just seems excessive. That said, it could be like a perpetual flame or something like that, where it's just always lit. He traded with some traveling mage. I believe he uploads his content to YouTube after, so there's like a more permanent VOD record, because Twitch is only a limited amount of time. And I no longer have a shadow now, Mondu, so there's like a whole new element. I believe he does. Well, our sessions are uploaded there, but they're private. You can't see them. We honestly like I think we're his only game that is private. Everyone else is like a public game, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, he does stream on YouTube. Good. Yeah, I was going to put a sign up that said, like, the name of the place. And I forgot to do that. So let's do that really quickly. Pokey Tavern, if you jump over to our there, Eric, send me the link in DM and I'll post it. I can post it. Don't worry about it. That way I don't have to go hunt it. Oh, sending to Atlam. Okay, Atlam can post it. We're good. We good. I make the sign a little bit bigger so it's more gaudy. It really pops. And then I was going to aim like a light at it so it's like a big billboard. That looked pretty good. So what we can do is add, man, I wish we had the directional stage lights already. Yeah, I'm probably just going to use an abstract at it to point at it. Okay, I'm liking this. Well lit. We've got a sign. Oh, no worries, Pokey Tavern, not at all. We love helping out. Think of this stream like a resource, a third space for your campaign where you can learn, about storytelling, map making, DM advice, all sorts of stuff. Jack, one way you can do it is if you have a player that like kind of acts as like a rules lawyer or helps support you, like maybe like just like an assistant DM role where they keep people in queue. So like in past games I've been in where a player will be, it's their kind of like secondary role to just say, hey, your turn is next. Make sure you're ready to go. Another thing too, it is a bummer. I love playing a caster, but also often things that happen in the people's turns just before me will negate what I had planned to do the whole turn. So I'll be like ready to do something, and then somebody changes their place, their location on the battlefield, or attacks and kills the guy I was going to attack and do something to, and it messes me up, right? So I'll often I like knowing that it's my turn next or somebody else's turn next so they can plan and be ready. I've played on tables where the DM puts a timer on each person. I think if you stress a person out like that, it makes them anxious and it ruins their fun. Just lightly encourage the players. Hey, if even if it's just you as the DM letting them know it's their turn next. Hey, your turn is up next. Make sure you have your action, your bonus action and movement ready to go. Haven't even made suggestions yet for a new map. So, y'all want to see the description that I have? Or I'll read it to you really quickly. I mean, if you are playing digitally, right? Typically you have an initiative tracker up on the screen so you can see who's next. That's really nice when you play online through like a virtual tabletop. But having an initiative tracker at your table is also good, like a visual one. You could 3D print something or even just have people's tokens on the side where like they're in the order they're going to go. I'm open to suggestions for our next map, by the way. So if any of y'all have ideas, let me know. And we'll consider them for the next map we're going to make on Mapmaker Monday. Oh, too low. That's a great idea, like a cork board with names, like a thumbtack with a name on it. Probably isn't too much work. You know what I mean? Okay, I think we got good lighting throughout. And I kind of want to just double check my abstracts now because I just added a few new light sources. Looks good. The reason I add abstracts and lighting and effects last is they have the biggest impact on your, use like your video performance. So it's always a good idea to do those last. And I'll often separate the map before I add these, like a master map and then a light version of the map with all the effects and everything. Or so there's the master map without all the effects and lighting, and then there's one with it. That way I can, load independently if I want to. That said, that's just a tip I've had from making maps for like years now. Like a pro tip. I've done a couple in the past. I did one where we made like it was a landing page, I think, ages ago. Can't remember what happened with that build. Ugh. The landing page would be an interesting build for sure. A dungeon would be interesting. Okay, let me read the description to y'all, okay? Far beyond the reach of any kingdom patrol, buried deep within the blistering red sands and jagged badlands of the desert frontier, lies a lonely oasis known as the Last Drop. For centuries, this isolated watering hole has been the only dependable source of fresh water for hundreds of miles in every direction. Merchant caravans, wandering pilgrims, bounty hunters, treasure seekers, and desperate travelers alike all eventually find themselves drawn to its life-saving waters while crossing the deadly wastes between the prosperous realms of the East and West. In the early days, the Last Drop was little more than a rough campsite surrounded by discarded debris. Travelers would stop long enough to refill their barrels, rest their animals, and abandon anything that might slow their journey across the unforgiving dunes. Broken wagon wheels, empty crates, shattered barrels, snapped tools, rusted lanterns, worn canvas, and entire carts deemed too heavy to repair were left behind in the growing heaps around the oasis. Over time, the site transformed into a sprawling graveyard of salvaged junk and forgotten cargo. Where others saw trash, however, one kobold saw opportunity. A clever and unusually ambitious kobold named Scritch arrived at the oasis decades ago while scavenging the trade routes. Recognizing that every traveler crossing the desert would inevitably pass through this location, Scritch claimed the watering hole as his own and began building a tiny shack from the abandoned scrap littering the area. At first, he sold basic supplies and charged a few copper pieces for water access and camping rights. Most travelers assumed the operation would fail within a season. Instead, it prospered. Year after year, Scritch expanded his ramshackle outpost. Sorry, where was I? His ramshackle outpost using reclaimed lumber, salvaged wagon parts, ship planks from distant river traders, patched canvas, bent nails, and anything else he could salvage from the growing scrap fields around the oasis. The original shack eventually grew into a towering, crooked, multi-story structure of mismatched wood and rusted metal held together by ingenuity, stubbornness, and questionable engineering. Anyway, today this establishment is known far and wide as the Last Drop General Store, Souvenir, Tavern, and Inn. Often shortened simply to the Last Drop. It's the only true sign of civilization for hundreds of miles and has become a legendary stop on the desert crossing routes. The massive structure rises above the oasis like a patchwork fortress of reclaimed timber. Wooden walkways creak in the desert wind. Lanterns sway from hanging beams, and colorful scraps of faded wood flap overhead like jagged. Sorry, I don't know what I wrote here. I think I didn't finish this, so I'm going to move on because it's like a broken sentence. Every inch of the building tells a story of survival and salvage. Two enormous makeshift cranes jut from the upper floors of the structure. The first is used to haul cargo, ale barrels, supplies, and trade goods between the levels. The second crane extends directly over the oasis itself and lowers heavy reinforced buckets into pristine water below. The system supplies fresh water to the bathhouse and kitchens while ensuring the oasis remains uncontaminated. Yeah, group actions definitely save a lot of time too, for sure. Okay, moving on. Scritch enforces strict rules regarding the water. Bathing, swimming, fishing, and washing clothes in the oasis is absolutely forbidden. Signs posted around the shoreline warn travelers that anyone caught polluting the water will be expelled immediately, regardless of rank or status. I forgot to add a warning sign. I need to add a warning sign. Regardless of rank or status, armed caravan guards rarely question the rule. In the desert, water is law. A small wooden dock extends over the oasis, allowing visitors to admire the surprisingly clear blue waters or draw supervised waters under Scritch's watchful eye. Nearby, a third, smaller hand-operated crane assists with lifting water buckets from the shoreline. Let's see here. The ground floor of the last drop serves as stables and caravan yard, a crowded but secure shelter for horses, pack lizards, camels, mules, wagons, and caravans. Travelers can rent stalls, purchase feed, repair harnesses, and pay to store wagons while resting. The surrounding campground, known as the Dust Yard, is packed with tents, cook fires, and travelers from every corner of the known world. The second floor houses the Last Drop Market, a bizarre and ever-changing combination of general store and souvenir shop. Because supply caravans reach the Last Drop only twice a year, the store relies heavily on barter and trade with passing travelers. As a result, its shelves contain an astonishing assortment of goods, adventuring gear, spices, old maps, forward trinkets, salvage weapons, magical items, cooking supplies, odd relics, books in unfamiliar languages, homemade charms, and questionable, authentic desert treasures crafted by Scritch himself. No two visits to the Last Drop Market are ever the same. Balconies on the second and third floor overlook the oasis and campgrounds below, offering shaded seating where exhausted travelers can eat, gamble, trade stories, or watch new caravans arrive from the dunes. The third floor serves as the heart of the establishment. The Last Drop Tavern, Inn, and Bathhouse. The tavern itself is a lively open floor space filled with mismatched tables, hanging lanterns, and the smell of spiced meat and strong drink. Travelers from rival kingdoms often share drinks here under an unspoken understanding that conflict within the oasis threatens everyone. Scritch personally tends to the bar, serving food, local cactus liquor, caravan ales, and his infamous ale Oasis Dew. Connected directly to the tavern is the bathhouse, a surprising luxurious heated bathhouse and steam room supplied entirely by water drawn from the oasis below. After weeks of crossing the scorching desert, many travelers consider the bathhouse worthy of the journey alone. Beyond the tavern are the inn accommodations, collectively called the Roost. Guests can choose between several options depending on their coin. The Suite, a private room reserved for wealthy merchants, nobles, and important guests. The Bunk, a modest shared room containing sturdy bunk beds for smaller groups. The Loft, a large communal sleeping hall filled with hanging bunk hammocks swaying gently in the warm desert air. Or, of course, any traveler can use the campsite below. The third floor balconies are particularly popular in the evening, where travelers gather around the lantern lit tables to watch the desert sunset, paint the Badlands in deep crimson and gold. A private service balcony near the kitchen provides access to the cargo crane, allowing food, ale, barrels, and supplies to be hoisted directly into storage without disturbing the tavern floor. At the very top of the structure lies a private perch, the personal residence of Scritch himself. Few visitors are invited there. Rumors claim the kobold keeps ledgers of every caravan that has ever passed through the oasis, hidden vaults beneath the floorboards, and a collection of strange relics traded by travelers over the decades. Others insist the upper room contains elaborate defenses designed to collapse the entire building if raiders ever attempt to seize the oasis by force. Whatever the truth may be, one fact remains certain. In the endless desert wastes, every road eventually leads to the Last Drop. An Egyptian-style pyramid, interesting. That would be tricky to do, but the interior at least could be possible. Nice, Eric. So what do y'all think of the description of the Last Drop and the enterprise contained within? I did notice a few typos and some things I need to fix up, so I'll probably upload this after the stream so I can make some adjustments to it. I don't want to do them on stream and sit here and make edits and type while I should be map making. So what we'll do, yeah, I will add that for sure. I'll probably add it at the top. Because then you can search Mapmaker Monday and find it, right? I'm sorry, what was that, Scooby-Doo? Great map, by the way. Any wall size assets for custom JPEGs that you know of? Yeah, under the object panel, if you go to abstract, all of these objects here are customizable with images. There's a wall one and a flat panel one that fits on walls too. Yep, I hope that answers your question there, Scooby-Doo. Ruh-roh! Ree! But these here, I like this sign here, like it says last drop. That's one of those panels right here. I just inserted a PNG image. So it turns into like a sign. You can use these for like graffiti or adding custom walls, images, all sorts of stuff. So in a previous time in my life, there was a point where I really enjoyed doing impressions, right? And I really, really wanted to do voiceover work as a career. And I just couldn't break into it no matter how hard I tried. And I just never really got anywhere with it. But I do have quite a few impressions that I can do. By the way, Scooby-Doo is watching over on TikTok, so that's where I'm talking to them at. But Scooby, you can also import custom 3D models using the asset importer, so you don't need to just be reliant on like graphics. So if you needed something that was like a full 3D object, you could import it through the asset importer. Origin, thank you for the sub on YouTube, and Keld, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Much appreciated. So like for a while on my personal streams, I actually like people would like, you know how you can do interactions on people's streams, trigger like activities and stuff. You could spend the points and make me do a voiceover for like an impression for like 5 minutes on stream or something. I used to do silly stuff like that. It's pretty good at a few different cartoon characters for a while. Not currently, Scooby. Though likely our next update or the one after will include the decal tool, which allows you to apply like textures directly to objects and floors, walls, essentially, you know, adding things like tracks, footsteps, leaves, any cracks, spider webs, whatever you want. And you can import custom images as well. See, I don't really think of this as my channel, Chim. Like, does that make sense? Like, this is Dungeon Alchemist's content and channel. I stream for them, right? I'm a content creator for Dungeon Alchemist, right? Man, I don't know. I haven't done impressions in so long, so I wouldn't even begin to say. Like, I'm not very like up to date on it. I haven't really been practicing, so my voice isn't strong at it. But like I used to be pretty good at Rick and Morty. I could do like a back and forth conversation as both of them. I used to be okay at Muscle Man from regular show. And then also I did an okay Zap Brannigan from Futurama. An SG-1 impression? Oh, indeed. Practice is a big part of it because your voice, like you need to be good at manipulating, you know, essentially what I call the angle of your voice or your voice box. So you can manipulate the sound at any given moment. It's kind of tricky to do. I can make my voice uncomfortably high for a man like myself that has a reasonably deep voice, and I can also go the opposite direction. Like when I talk to my dog or my cat, I talk in like a high-pitched voice and my wife makes fun of it. It's not even a baby voice. I just talk to them like, "Oh my goodness, little babies! How's my puppy?" I'm sorry, Chim. I know I could probably do impressions on here and have fun. And I know I like doing fun stuff and entertaining y'all, but at the same time, this isn't my show, you know? I mean, it is in the essence that I run the show here, but it's not the Mac show. You know what I mean? So I guess if I am entertaining, that's a bonus, right? But the thing is like, oh yeah, I can do an Elmo for sure. Elmo! Tra-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la, Elmo's World. What else can I do? But yeah, let's do Muscle Man really quick. Do you know who else likes Dungeon Alchemist? My mom. Let's see here. I don't even want to try Rick and Morty because I know I'll crack. Morty shreds your voice trying to do it. Hey, no worries, Scooby. Let's come up with a theme for my next map, though. Let's talk about it. We need to pick a new map because I want to start a new one next Monday. So let's discuss a ziggurat. Who doesn't love a good ziggurat? A Fungeon? Welcome to the Fungeon, made by your Funkle Mac. I don't know about that, Rick. I can't do Morty right now. I haven't practiced it in over a year. Why are you always busting my balls, Rick? Yeah, I can't. It's too hard. Bring your Funyuns. Oh, geez, Rick. Morty, listen. It's going to be Rick and Morty all the time. Yeah, I can't do them right now. It's been a while since I practiced them. You know, I do like the idea of a landing page. We could try to do a forced perspective landing page. I haven't done it in a while, and I'd be willing to try it. It is an advanced concept. I don't know how long it'll take to do, but we'll end up with something like this, right? Where it is essentially, you know, like a sort of a simple loading screen for your campaign. There's quite a few examples of landing pages on the workshop. So, I mean, that one, Eric sent that to me earlier when we were talking about it, so I wanted to share it. I'd be open to trying that. I haven't done it in a while, so I can't really guarantee how well it'll turn out. Force perspective isn't my area of expertise, but I'll give it a shot. Mondu, was it you that was surprised I now have true sight? Were you like, whoa, that's crazy? Eric, I think there are a couple people that are concerned that I now have true sight. Well, at least in the darkness. Ooh, you know, an awesome encounter area, boss battle. What about like a coliseum or like a fighting pit? A fighting pit would be cool. I guess it could be a double-edged sword, right? Mondu, what if I see through an illusion that actually like has a trap and I just walk through it and end up like dying because I just didn't think anything of it? That said, I can enable it and disable it at will. I also have this really unique ability as a scribe's wizard that I can see through my like awakened mind of my spell book, the spectral mind of my spell book, right? The manifest mind is what it's called. So I technically can do that without using an action. So at any given point, I can see through that thing normally, plus have true sight. It'll be an interesting combination. Battle Royale does sound kind of fun. The Ziggurat's a great idea, but I do like the idea of like an arena, like a fighting pit or like a Coliseum type sitch. The Khazad-dûm Bridge is an interesting idea. So we could do a pop culture inspired map. I believe it's K8. There's an H in there. It's like KHA, or it's KAHAZUDUM, something like that. Khazad-dûm. But it's like DUM and there's an H in there somewhere, like a silent. Yeah, someone was trying to spell it over on TikTok. And I'm like, I can't remember how to spell it offhand now that you're saying that. Khazad-dûm, that's it right there. Yep. The SG-1 base would be interesting to do the SGC. That'd be an interesting pop culture build. I've been itching to do a pop culture build for a while. I'm open to several different suggestions here. The SGC, man, oh man, that would be so difficult to make, but possible now that we have multi-level. Granted, it'll look as close to the SGC as it can in a fantasy setting. So it would be like a, you know, it'd be like a Stargate set in the, what is it? What is the ship setting? Gosh, I can't even never remember it because I've never played it. It's like the astral ships in D&D. Gosh, why am I drawing a blank right now? Spelljammer, that's the one. I've never really been in a Spelljammer setting, never DM'd one, never played in one. So I have made a Khazad-dûm before, actually. Before I became the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist, I was doing commission map work. And one of the DMs I worked with needed a bridge that was like Khazad-dûm, and I made it ages ago. But I would definitely be down to retry it. Now that we have multi-level, it'd be a fun map to try. Pokey Tavern, though, Eric is a great DM. I can attest to that. He's been my DM for over a year now. Great gentleman. You know, really good, just all around good dude. But he's hilarious, a great storyteller. Runs great campaign. Let's see here. Yeah, I think this is done. I'm going to save it twice. I'll update the text later because I noticed some typos and some weird, like, points of thought that I didn't finish. When I'm writing, I don't write in a straight line. I'll often like write a sentence or like a half a paragraph and come back to it later because my mind just skips around. I think it's because of ADHD. But that said, oh, Return to Moria is such a fun game and the story is interesting. And I was so happy that didn't they bring in John Rice Davies for some of the VO work for it? Oh, I'm sure y'all watching me probably get so annoyed on stream because my like train of thought jumps all over the place. Pairing it with streaming, it's also worse. I have streamer brain, so I'm answering questions all the time, constantly getting distracted. Fungus infested ruins would be fun. I'd be down for that. Tropism. Yep, exactly. So earlier it was Chim talking about the personal stream potential. I've been toying around with this more and more. First off, got this new 3D printer, and like back in the day, like a decade ago, I was like one of the first people in streaming to include 3D printing on their streams. And it was such a chore back then, but it was like part of my brand. I would do it constantly. And now that I've got this new printer and it's so easy, like it's so easy. It's like plug and play. Printing has gotten so much easier than it used to be. This thing has auto leveling. I can load prints from my phone to it or my computer directly instead of having to like slice them, put them on a memory card and then plug that memory card in and load it from the there's like so many less steps and it's just so much faster. And guess what? It's got built-in cameras, so I can just stream it right away. I'm thinking of starting up my own personal stream on the side for, I don't know if it'll be video games. If it is, it's very rarely would it be games. I'm thinking of doing like a kind of a, I don't know, like a variety talk show type thing where we discuss whatever, just hang out, and I might do crafts and, you know, do some woodworking or maybe some 3D printing or whatever. The printer I just got is a Bamboo X2D with the AMS Pro 2 or 2 Pro, AMS 2 Pro. I've been watching Bamboo for like years and years because I've been printing for over a decade. I have 4 printers, actually. I have a FlashForge Creator Pro 2, which I'm going to retire shortly, my oldest printer. I have a TiVo Tornado, which is like a Creality knockoff. This is kind of similar to like those early Creality or like an Ender 3, but bigger. And then I have a Anycubic Photon, which is a resin printer. And then I just got this Bamboo Labs X2D, which is like one of their newest models on the market. It's only like a month and a half, 2 months old. That said, I have a bunch of ideas around 3D printing crafts and then also woodworking crafts. And then I'm going to be doing gardening and yard stuff with the missus and probably a combination of all 3. Like I have some ideas where I might use 3D printing to make and design parts and jigs and things for my woodworking. Yeah, that'd be fun. So it's like, hey, I downloaded this print so you don't have to, kind of thing. But the big thing is I think I'm going to start my own content creation on the side again, just as like little bit of like thing to keep me busy on the side and some extra hobby income. You know, the Photon is not bad. I actually have a first gen Photon and I've had it for years now and I bought it secondhand. I bought it used from a friend here in Vegas who also does a ton of 3D printing. I've put dozens of prints through it, but I'll be honest with you, resin printing, I don't enjoy it. as much. I think the quality is far better than FDM printers, but it's so much more of a chore to set up and maintain and run resin printers. And you also need to consider like filtration and how to properly clean the prints, because resin is toxic and can get you sick. Like sanding resin prints, handling resin, cleaning resin, it is all dangerous. Printing resin. So it's one of those things that, like, while I enjoy it, there's a lot more maintenance involved. There's a lot more work involved, but the payoff is great. But now FDM printers are getting higher quality resolution and print speeds. I think they both have pros and cons. Let's just say that. But I definitely do far more printing on FDM, like filament-based printers, than I do resin, even though I have both. Okay, so we've got a bunch of suggestions. I'm looking at them all. Atlam, can you send me the list really quick of what you have in our chat? I think I'm just going to pick from that list, and we'll go from there. But I'm leaning towards the landing page or possibly a ziggurat. A ziggurat's always fun to build, and I haven't built one in a while. And a ziggurat's a good cross between, a pyramid and a dungeon. So we're kind of getting all the best of both worlds, because we can put a dungeon in it and have a ziggurat. Fungeon would be fun too. Fungus dungeon. An arena would be great. I'm open for all of these, right? What do y'all think? What is the one thing that stands out to you all? Let's try and condense our votes. An SG1 base within a ziggurat? Oh, come on, man. That would take forever to build. I'm trying to keep this to four streams or less, maybe 6 or less tops. This one went a little long because it had some extra detail in it, but I'm really proud of how this build turned out, so I'm not too worried about it. Landing page, a stadium. So we got we got ziggurat, stadium, and landing page standing out right now. Mars Saturn is decent. Be careful not to become allergic. Yeah, I've been looking at like Elegoo, and some updated Anycubics. I've been hoping that the technology gets a little bit more streamlined. You know what I mean? Because once it hit the market and saturates, more and more like better printers will come out. That's exactly what Bamboo did. They took all the things everyone hated about printing and made it a better printer. Granted, I've heard they're having some drama recently, I guess, because they aren't as like open source as they're expected to be, or their community wants them to be. Didn't know about that when I got the printer. I'm just focused on the printing itself, not the community so much, because I just don't have time for that. But as far as printing works and the ecosystem they've designed, I'm very impressed with it. The AMS is very solid. Multicolor printing is great. Being able to just select a print from their app in my phone and send it to my printer without having to interact with my PC is fantastic. But then having the option to sit at my PC and do that is also great. Geez, you multitasker, Rev. I'm thinking we're probably going to get a landing page this time around. Landing page is such a powerful visual too, because a lot of people don't even realize you can do this with Dungeon Alchemist. Let me save this like once or twice, and then we'll go look at some landing pages till the end of the stream so you can know what we're talking about. Because some of you are like, what the heck is Mac talking about? What the hell is a damn landing page? So a landing page acts as sort of like a loading screen for your campaign, a buffer between when you are loading maps, if you want, it can be, or it can be the loading screen for your campaigns before you load into things. A thematic set piece where you can refresh your player's memory of a recap and, you know, discuss what happens before you load in. This is a great example of a landing page. They have pictures of the players in the campaign, maps of locations and items that might be of use and interest to them, you know? They actually set it up where you could stand here in first person and get like the correct view. And yes, you can make them interactive in Foundry and some virtual tabletops. You could set this up and set notes on them. And like if players click on things, it could open up. Like if you click on the player, you could set it to their, you know, their character sheet, the public portion of it. Or you could even put a mini game in here and hide things in it. If they click things, it'll go to like an info page. Or if they click on a map, it might expand the map. One of my mods, who is a longtime DM who isn't as active in the community anymore, but they used to be much more active. I think that map used to load further down on that image too. It's busted. Anyway, they hid like unlocks like that their players could get loot on the landing page, and their players never found it because they didn't interact with it enough. So just something to think about, you know? Because you can do notes, but you could like attach it to an item on here. And if they click that item, and you could have a note there and be like, you've unlocked this compass now. Let the DM know that you saw this note. But landing pages are especially useful because you could record like a 15-30 second loop of it and just play it for your players on your TV or projector tabletop when you're loading up sequences or in between, you know, bouts or in a break. And then or on a virtual tabletop, you can have it as the main scene they load into before they go do anything else. And it's just a nice little kind of a primer, if you will, for the campaign, because it has a bunch of information and things about the campaign. Anybody in chat, have any of you used a landing page in your campaigns? And if you have, let's hear about it. Sets the tone, exactly. Let's go look for another landing page. I think landing page is going to be the way to go. Who was it? Was it Dyson that made one? Was it you, Dyson, that made one with the boat in the background, like way off in the distance? I know she was here earlier. I feel like it was Dyson. Yeah, understandable. I get it. I'm based in Vegas, right? So we try to do the times where it'll be the best for everyone all over the world, but at the same time, it's like not always viable, right? We have a worldwide audience, and that's why we do 2 streams a week at least. You're in the Netherlands? Nice. My bosses, like the majority of our team is actually based in Belgium. This is Dyson's map. There it is. So the creators of Dungeon Alchemist, most of our development and art team are all based in Belgium. I'm the odd man out. I'm like the only person based in the US. Yep, this is the one. This is one of my favorite landing pages. It's kind of hard to line up just right. But you can see the boat off in the distance and then the information below. But yeah, we stream every Monday, every Saturday. Plus, you know, we have our social media posts pretty regularly, several times a week. And we have our Discord where we're active daily. You know, I moved here over a decade ago because I had a lot of my clients were based here. I ran a home-based consulting business for small businesses where I'd like help modernize them and provide them with, you know, essentially resources and consulting around like modernizing their business. So updating their computers, their point of sale systems, their social media, their websites, stuff like that, right? Telephone systems, everything. We'd help modernize their businesses. And this was pretty fun. It was pretty profitable. I moved from Utah to Nevada because a lot of my clientele was here. And then during the pandemic, my business died. A lot of my clients folded or retired or passed away. And it was devastating to my business at the time to lose, you know, some of my biggest clients. And I decided to try something else. And I was doing content creation on the side as a hobby and like a hobby income, right? Doing streaming content creation on my own channels, as we discussed a little bit earlier. And I had started getting into 5e because I wanted to DM. And a friend of mine gifted me a copy of Dungeon Alchemist, and I started streaming it and sharing maps. And I ended up kind of right place, right time, right skill set. Had a meeting with Wim, the creator of Dungeon Alchemist, and I was just talking to him about streaming and content creation and maybe how to draw in more content creators and streamers. And by the end of the stream, I had got an offer for an interview to become the community manager. So it's kind of that. But I've been here just working remotely. I just kind of stayed because it was easier to stay than to move. I don't gamble. I'm not into the nightlife. I moved here initially because there's a lot of businesses here and a lot of my clients were here. So it was easy to work with them directly. That's it. I'm actually thinking of moving away because most of my work is online, right? I'm remote, almost 100% of my work. So I essentially could be living anywhere. I've been considering buying a parcel of land and homesteading a little bit, just doing kind of a remote lifestyle. Yeah, the boat is a great touch. But Hobgoblin, I don't know what draws people here nowadays because there's not a good job market here. Like the entire service industry is dying. So unless you're working in the tech industry here, there's really not a big job market, right? Because there are some tech industries coming here. But like the tourism industry is dying year over year. Vegas is just having a hard time attracting people, and it's becoming harder and harder to bring people here because international travel is at an all-time low in Vegas. A lot of places are starting to update their pricing to be more friendly or, you know, tightening their belts. And it's easier to bet online. Why travel, right? Especially when the service, it's like they're just treating you like a wallet instead of actually providing you with a good service like they used to. Like Vegas, you know, used to be service oriented, and then it went family oriented in the 90s. They were doing all these attractions and arcades and, you know, Wet and Wild, all these things to draw people, families in, right, from all over. But yeah, it's a lot more convenient to gamble online, I'd imagine. It's not as catered to like a family audience or a middle American, or, you know, it's really just catered to the wealthy. I mean, not even locals can really afford to go to the strip as much anymore. Like when parking, and, you know, they don't offer discounts to locals, or their parking is $50 for several hours. It's just not worth it anymore. I honestly just the appeal of Vegas is that it's a big city for me. You know, I have a lot of friends and I have some family here. I have family nearby in Utah, only a couple hours away. Perfect distance away where it's like, hey, it's a day trip, but not as easy to see daily. Oh yeah, $25 for a beer. Oh my gosh, going to like a club in Vegas, bottle service is a joke. Table service, you'll spend like $700 for a bottle of vodka that's like $15 at the store. I would never do that. I'm just not that. I can't do that. My brain won't let me do that. It's ridiculously expensive here now. It's not worth it for the average person. My wife and I, we went on vacation a few years ago, and we went to visit like California because she has a lot of friends and family there. And we stayed in, I think we stayed in Santa Barbara, right? And we went to like a club, a bar there one night just for fun. And when we were there, I was looking at their bottle service, and for a table for yourself, like a booth with bottle service was like $35. And I just was freaking out. And then these random people are like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, we're from Vegas, and bottle service there for this same bottle is like $1,000 at like a crappy club. No, everything's expensive here. Everything. And it's really just not that fun anymore as a result, you know? Everyday expenses are getting more expensive. Oh, the power company here, they're trying to change their power billing so it charges you an average of your 15, like your power use of the 15 like highest usage of wattage during the day, 15 minutes of highest usage. So that will be your average cost for the entire day, not just what you're using or an average use of your, average use during it's your highest use during the day. So your peak output, they'll take that 15 minutes and bill you for the entire day for that. It is scummy. And the best part about it is the Energy Advisory Board for the state, where they come up with rules and regulations and how things should be governed in the state of Nevada. Like 4/5 of the people on the board are employed by NV Energy, the company that is doing this. So it's like they're always doing stuff in their own interest. The board is not comprised of people who are for, alternate energy sources, or it is awful. Vegas is I don't know. We've had the same mayor. The mayor title has been in the same family for like 50 years. It was ran by this dude. And then when he died, his wife took over and became the mayor. And she's been the mayor ever since. And they both like have mob ties from my understanding, and then take money from casinos and like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, follow the money. Anyway, I don't want to get into local BS and politics in Vegas or the US or anything like that. But that said, I don't know what the appeal is here anymore. I'm thinking of moving away. Definitely considering leaving. I need to start a fund, the Help Mac Escape from Vegas fund, so I can move sooner. And then I can just stream all my homesteading. Oh my gosh. So the biggest bit of drama in Vegas lately, okay? And this is nothing against religions or this particular religion, but there was a lot of drama recently around a particular religion and a temple being built, a very large temple that would block the skyline for like tons of Vegas residents. And the temple's like city council votes were swayed by what they thought were local citizens' testimony. But this particular church had people from all over in surrounding states drive up and like cram the city council and like try to influence the vote. That's a good question, Jack. I'll probably look into like a satellite internet provider. because I'd need a steady internet, or I'd be in a place where I could still get a decent high-speed internet, but just like a rural out portion of a city, you know, like in the rural like tailings of a city where you can still get a decent high speed, but it's not in the city. You know what I mean? I was looking at some land near Reno, actually, because my grandfather lives up there. My grandparents, my grandmother, grandfather live up there. And I want to be closer to them so I can assist them, take them to doctor's appointments, check on them, help them with their day-to-day. But, you know, not so close that it's like, you know, I'm in the city. I'd probably be outskirts, you know, in the desert area or, you know, forest area, something like that. Hey, Michael, welcome back. How you doing? I doubt I'll be able to get fiber optic. Satellite will probably be the thing. Or if I'm close enough to, you know, other areas, there likely is a service nearby, you know. I'm already looking at solar, water, like catching, and a well, because I want to set up like roofing systems to catch water. So I have my own water dependency. And then obviously a generator and solar and battery systems and wind systems, so I have more dependency there. I appreciate you dropping in, Michael. Hope all is well for you. What you've been up to as of late? I think the most expensive part of a homestead is likely the well, or getting, you know, if you want power or internet ran out to your location, that will be expensive. Shop's been busy, dude. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. I hope you're, you know, making some good money. All right, everyone. It is time to wrap up the stream, I'm afraid. We are actually about a half past 11. 2 main air compressors die? Oh, no. Right? We're getting really close to the next update. In fact, before we leave, let me show you a teaser that I shared this last week on our social media and stuff. Yeah, it's going to be landing page. You know what? I just realized you won't be able to hear this. Hey, Michael, you're in our Discord or on any of our social media, right? For sure, Michael. Anytime, drop by. Yeah, we're going to do landing page for sure is our theme. Before we take off, I just a quick bit of business. Our next stream is Saturday, right? Our guest will be more D&D for our guest slot. The stream runs roughly two and a half hours. That's the Dungeon Alchemist map making show. So we have our interview segment, we have Q&A, asset or a map showcase, and hopefully a feature showcase if we can squeeze them in at the end. That stream runs from 12 p.m. Pacific to 2:30 Pacific, and that it starts at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, or 7 p.m. UTC. Yes, interview this Saturday, actually. This Saturday with more. The following Saturday stream is our Dam Challenge stream. I met more D&D over on TikTok. Great guy. He uses Dungeon Alchemist for his content creation, his campaigns, and also a fun event he hosts every week called the Midweek Monster Mash, where it's a DM versus DM battle royale where you pick a bunch of characters, monsters, and fight each other. Pokey Tavern, did you drop that sub earlier so you can find us in the future? Appreciate you being here. And yeah, quick reminder to all our new viewers today, whether you're, you know, it's your first, whether you are actively chatting or just kind of lurking, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, follow so you can get notifications and find us when we go live in the future. And if you haven't already, drop into our Discord. Discord is the best place to be in between our streams. We have a very active and supportive community. Very low drama, no issues in our Discord, aside from the occasional bot spam, which every Discord has to deal with. But we have support channels, question channels, events, upcoming events, so you can see what our stream schedule is and RSVP to that to get notifications, etc. Anyway, Poke Tavern, glad to meet you, glad to have you on the stream today. Hope to see you more in the future and around our Discord. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is available on Steam. We offer a free demo where you can try building a tavern in a forest biome, and you can even print that map or export it for your virtual tabletop of choice. Dungeon Alchemist is currently available on Steam for a one-time price for a lifetime license, which is great, in a modern era where everything is subscription based, or, you often buy a product and it loses support later and you can't use it. That's not the case with Dungeon Alchemist. If you own it, you'll be able to access and use it as long as you can access Steam. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for tuning in today. We're going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad and then we're going to end the stream. Okay, Mac out. Bye.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Doyak-Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, giving up my first, demand to know the goblin's name.